All right, you ready for this? This is the fucking, what is it? The fucking 1, 2, 3. This is like the fifth one? No, it's like the, I don't know.
Fourth. I want to say it's fourth.
It might be
Because we
fourth.
we did a Tuesday, a Friday, a Tuesday, and now it's the Friday.
Yeah, so this is the fourth one, guys. All right, strap in. We got a cool event. We got a cool idea that is a brewing. It's kind of like a spin-off of the last episode, which, you know, we talked about a lot of cool stuff about line confidence, confidence in art, and Hitler. But that's not important. What is important is this, Tom. All right, and I think it's a subject that we were just talking about is fucking when you do get confident at art. What's a good point to start selling it, right? That's a question we get a lot. But besides, like, how do I improve my art? Is, can I sell this? Is this good? Do I need, like, what do I need? Can I just start selling this? You know, we get that question like often, like a lot. And I guess it's just a good point to start off on. So I want to know what's your opinion, Tom? When should artists start selling art?
I think that it depends mostly on, like, your mindset and how quickly you can, like, actually get things out, how consistent you can be. Because there's never a point at which your art is good enough to sell in terms of just the look, because it's like, well, you're putting out a picture of the product, and then if people like it, they like it, if they don't, they don't, they just will or won't buy it, you know? You put out your art, and then if people want to buy it, they will, and if they don't, they won't. It doesn't matter. It's kind of a no harm, no foul kind of thing, where it's like, you know, maybe you'll post a drawing and you'll say, like, hey, by the way, commission's open, this is my prices. And if no one bites, then either you set your prices a little bit too high or you're not ready. And it's like, well, oh well. That's why I think it's a mindset thing, not a quality thing. Because the two main things to consider is, will you be upset or hurt if you don't end up selling anything? And can you be consistent with your art and, like, actually give people what they want to see in, like, a timely manner?
Yeah, exactly, in a timely manner. That's another thing not a lot of people take into consideration when it is taking on a commission. Because what you're essentially doing is, you as a business owner are saying, I will accept your money so that I can make you the art that not only you like, but the art that you want, and that will be delivered to you, like, within a couple of days at most. Like, we've had a fair share of artists, including Tom, not to name names, who get commissions and then, you know, they sell on it for like a week or a month or a year, and it's like, when you do that kind of stuff on a consistent basis, what that tells not only the person paying for the art, but like the room as a whole, is your money is not worth your time, right? So you aren't willing to deliver even if you pay me like an exorbitant amount of money. It's going to get done whenever I feel like it. And from a customer's point of view, that's really shitty when, and this is a big caveat, when the art doesn't need it, right? It makes sense to spend a shit ton of money on like an animation studio to animate your like 11-minute pilot and then have it take like a year to make, because honestly, that's how long that kind of stuff takes. Like, if you genuinely want a good product like that,
like if you want like a 3-minute animation of, like, you know, like Has-Been Hotel character like tying it up and stuff.
Yeah. In sort of like a cool kind of like epic rap battle-esque scenario, something like that. It'll take time.
Like beatboxing battle.
Yeah, it'll take time, it'll take money, and yeah, maybe a leak or two will happen because that's how long it takes for that kind of stuff to get like aired out. But that's just how the industry rolls, because that's how long that stuff takes. Like, let's talk like fat, all right? If you look at fucking Family Guy, at least with its like first 3 runs, right? Before they even had like legs to stand on, and they had just a normal budget like every other like animation studio, it would take a year for them to make one episode. So if you think about that, like, logistically, that means they have to work on basically, like, let's say there's like 12 episodes in a season, right? That means they have to pay enough people to make 12 episodes within a year and then have it all ready so that they can release a season once a year at most, right? And that's just common across the board with every animation studio. And if you look at like Amazing World of Gumball, that's like a whole other like industry in itself, because you have to get so many different types of people that are amazing at their craft to like integrate all these different concepts, 2D,
Oh
3D.
yeah, Amazing World of Gumball
Yeah.
is. Really have to watch that show sometime. Just I admire so much just having so many different mediums,
Oh yeah,
just so
and
casually.
that's definitely something I think a lot of artists should strive for, is being proficient in multiple mediums, because it makes you more marketable and be able to make more money doing commissions. Because hey, someone might ask for like a cool 2D drawing, but if you're also really good at Blender and you can take their 2D concepts, or better yet, make their 2D concepts and then transfer it into a 3D environment, that saves money all around, because they're only reliant on you creating the thing that they want and seeing the vision all the way through. Being able to build yourself up and increasing the amount of skills, as well as like just art flow and like work, so that you don't have to rely on others so much, and you're able to make money hand over fist, like doing the same things, so that you have like this amazing workflow. That's the ideal situation if you want to make money doing commissions, right? Because you just want to be a factory where it's like there's nothing crazy going on in your life. You're able to just sit down, do the drawing, and you're not worrying about, is my tablet gonna break? Is my computer too old to do the thing that I'm trying to make money with it? And that happens a lot with artists. We see that a lot, Tom, where it's like people ask on like GoFundMe, or, hey man, my computer just crapped out on me and I was working on commissions. Now I'm really boned. Can you throw a guy a couple of dollars? And it's like, everyone
Yeah.
feels sympathetic, but like, it's up to you as a business owner to rely on your own tools. Like, we don't see this anywhere else, right? I mean, we do, like, anytime.
No, we do. In the arts in general, crowdfunding
Yeah.
is incredibly common.
Yeah. When
Because
I mean,
what the fuck, it's the modern version of patronage.
yeah, it's the modern version of like, the guy playing guitar outside and you throw him a few bucks, right? That's what that is. But I guess what I was referring to more is like in a grander sense, like within like the business world, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, I guess, is compare apples to oranges when it comes. Because I think it's really important to compare apples to oranges when it comes to the art industry, as well as just like business as a whole. Because the reason businesses do well isn't because they have a good business model. It tends to be because they have a good workflow that just so happens to coincide with a good product they're selling, right? The reason Amazon's good is because they were able to deliver, right? That's the end all be all of what that service needs to be able to do. Same thing with your art. Your art needs to be able to be delivered on time. It should be no different, right? If someone orders something same day, if you can deliver same day delivery, you will be light years ahead of most artists trying to make money on commissions. And when we're talking about this kind of stuff, it's extraordinarily important to remember that if you want to start doing this commissioning stuff, is to know what your like skill level is. Like, can you honestly get a commission out a day? Like, and that's not what we're asking, because the workflow will always change. No one's going to be asking for a commission every day. That's just not feasible. Like, not even in a work sense. It's just like, I don't know, like, these hundreds upon hundreds of people that are going to ask for a commission like every day, so that you can like organize them all out. Like, that doesn't tend to happen, because like everybody has their own niche communities where you have like maybe 100 people, and maybe like 10, if you're lucky, out of that hundreds of people will be like, hey, I want to commission you. And then it ends up being like you only have like 10 people who've ever commissioned you within like a year, let's say. That's being like generous starting out. And that's like $5-10, right? Because you're starting out and you don't know how to price your stuff, if it should be based more on quality over quantity, or like time sink. That's like a whole other deal. There's actually a good video about this, Tom. You've seen it before, or I think everyone talks about this a lot, where you shouldn't be charging your skill based around the hours worked when it's something that requires skill, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I haven't seen this video, but it's a concept to talk about. I think that at the very, very minimum, you should at least be charging minimum wage based on the amount of time you spend. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that once you grow beyond that, it should just be supply and demand. What are people willing to pay?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
because like I can charge pretty significant for my stuff. I'm not even that popular. It's just that people like my work, so they're willing to pay a decent amount for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Uh, well, I was gonna just to add on to that, like, yeah, branding is like a pretty good thing when people know who you are and they can relate to your art in a sense, or just see what you're doing and like what you're doing to the point where they're willing to buy your art. That's really good. That's a really good skill to have. Not a lot of people can operate like that. I mean, there's plenty of people who do commissions on the regs, but they're not like popular or anything.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing reversed, where it's like there's a lot of people that are extremely popular, and people are like clamoring at their fucking teeth to like get them to do a specific commission for them, but that artist is too popular now, and they're like, I make plenty of money doing this, that, and the next thing, fucking Patreon, right? I can
yeah.
make
I was
my
about to
own
say
art how I
Patreon.
want. Yeah. So there's commissions aren't the end all be all of like making money doing art, and I think a lot of people know that, but a lot of people can get stuck in that mindset where I'm like a level 1 artist, I got to make commissions until I become like super
Mm-hmm.
mega popular or something like that, and they just end up being like stuck in this like this weird headspace where it's like the only thing I can do to make money is if someone asks me to make this thing. It's like
Yeah,
it's more, it's a
that's
stepping
the most
stone. It's not the
intuitive.
place. Yeah, it's not. It's a
That's the
stepping stone.
reason.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone. It's not where you're supposed to be as an artist. It ideally, like the end goal of every artist, I think, right, should be pursuing a project that brings like joy to you and that you
Mm-hmm.
think will bring joy to others. Hell, it doesn't even have to bring joy to others. Making a fucking, a season a pilot, that's the end goal, right? It's I want to make a comic, and then it's like, well, you made a comic, what now? Make 20, make 10, make 30. Well, what after that? I want to make a pilot out of this comic. You make a pilot, and then it's like it builds off of each other. It shouldn't just be I need to make money doing art because it's the only thing I know how to do. It's like, come on, man. You can make money doing a lot of things, including art, but if your goal is making money and that's the goal, like that's
Mm-hmm.
the end of the line, that's the stepping stone you want to be on, then it's like, to get out of doing art. Like, fuck it. You could throw boxes for literally anyone and make more money than doing art, right? Um, Hell, you can throw boxes, make more money doing that, and then do art on the side and have plenty of free time to do it, right?
Yeah, like it's this weird thing where it's like there's a difference between I want to make money doing art and I want to make money doing art because that's my passion. It's the only thing that I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
The latter is much more like, yeah, that's something that you should try to be pursuing and figuring out a way to do it. But you should also consider multiple ways of doing it that are more than just, you know, commissions. Though
Yeah.
commissions are good, like, if you can get a good business model doing commissions, then that can be just as viable. There are people that
Mm-hmm.
make all their money doing commissions that are doing great. But,
Oh,
I think that
yeah.
the more modern way to do it is definitely Patreon crowdfunding, but you need to be popular for that.
Yeah, and I guess we could talk about how to build up popularity. There's a lot of like memes about it, right? The classic one is you just make like a fan animation or just fan art of
Yep.
anything. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, it may sound like scuzzy or it to like because like some people will be that way where it's like I only make art for me, and it's like that's great if you make art for you. Maybe someone will like pop up and see what you're doing, but like 9 times out of 10, if you want to become not even rich and like successful in art, if you just want to become like known in art, you have to do something relatable, and that could be literally like a myriad of different things, right? Just making a fan animation, sure, can make you relatable, but there's been plenty of examples of people doing like they're just drawing art and then they're doing what we're doing right now, which is just talking to someone, anyone, right? And just trying to just be like, yeah, I worked today. Yeah, I was working at Starbucks. A crazy thing happened. This lady came in. It's like, yeah, people love that. People will tune in to just hear you talk because the reason why we made this podcast was to talk to artists. We want to know what's going on because there's like, honestly, there's not a whole lot news wise when it comes to artists. Like the only thing you ever hear about is this famous artist made this much money on their art project. It's like, wow, that's crazy, that's weird. And it's
honestly, like, in our world, most of what you hear about is just controversies. It's,
that too.
Like, you're talking about the quote unquote.
Yeah, I'm talking about the art world.
The art world, yeah. Like he shot on a canvas and then spit on it and sold it for $6.3 million. In our world, unfortunately, most that you don't ever hear about, this artist just made an incredible animation. What you hear about is, this artist just got outed as a creep, and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. This person made a DeviantArt account once, and it stayed with them for ages, and it's like, cool, great, whatever. I have literally more important things to do than, like, listen to this, like, psychobabble. Like, that's what we need. We it's not like we want fucking positivity in the art world. We just want to know what's going on. And I think that's what a lot of people want, especially when you go on Twitter or you just do anything like that and you follow an artist. You just want to know what's going on. And that's what anyone wants. And so the biggest through line in all of this is if you're just not posting or like showing what's going on, then you're going to end up dead in the water being like, oh, why can't I become famous? It's because you're not doing anything. You're not posting. You're not doing anything. You got to show something, right? You can't just be making art for yourself forever. You can, and that's great. But if you genuinely want to make this like a full-time thing, you can't rely on being like the underground artist that people will eventually like, because it tends to be when that happens, the artist is dead. and then yeah, you become famous but you're dead. And that happens to like a very select few.
Also, the thing that's that wasn't filled in. I think that something that's also important is when you're choosing, like, if you want to do fan art and stuff, my rule of thumb is it should just be something you would have drawn anyway. You shouldn't be thinking about which thing should I make fan art of. For me, the way I got like popular on Twitter and stuff, and I'm not that popular. I have like 4,000 fucking followers, but when I was like actually growing, it was because of Isabel stuff. But I didn't start drawing the Isabel stuff because Isabel's a recognizable character and that'll be a good way to get clout. It was just like I latched onto the character because it was fun to draw, and then later I realized, oh hey, people resonate with this and think that's cool. That's lucky. Like almost any fan art will work because you're just getting a niche. It just should just be something that you like, that you would want to draw fan art of anyway, and people will latch onto it that are in that community.
Yeah,
and then typically they'll stick around when you change to other shit. Like I started drawing like Steam Universe stuff and Undertale stuff, and the same people kept coming back for it.
And yeah, that's another like key thing to keep in mind is everybody loves the fact that a person made art, and everybody really loves the fact that someone made art that they're passionate about, right? No one's bending over backwards because like, oh man, these people were really passionate on the new Garfield 3D animated movie. I love this. Oh, these people really cared. and it's like, yeah, you were.
When I watched Big City Kitty.
You cried when you watched Tale of Two Kitties.
Yeah,
those people were really passionate about that movie. But like, yeah, you can see where we're coming from. Where it's like, the real like where the rubber meets the road is when you're making art, not only for you but for at least someone else. There's this like connection that people really understand and can relate to you on like a minuscule level, and that's really where the passion comes from the fans and from the artists. Like when you find that weird nugget where it's like the relatability or the fan art or the passion to just make something and know why you're making it, and it's just not like this throwaway piece of art. It's something that you hold dear and you're willing to show with the world. That's the real gold there. That's what you need to be striving for, is something you are happy with and want to show the world. That's all you need to do. And when you do that on like a regular basis, and I'm not even saying like, dude, you gotta be on the, it's like YouTube, man. If you don't post a video every day, you're basically gonna get 0 clicks. It's like, no. What you need to do is you need to be just consistent enough to where people see you for you, and then once they do, take the time you need to make the stuff that you genuinely want to like put like the like nth amount of time you want into it, like the insane workflow you want. And that's what we see all the time on like the internet, is people make very short, very easy content, and then the moment, it's not even easy content, it's just content that they're able to make, right? Because they're starting out for the first time, like everyone. If you start learning how to animate, you don't animate a fucking 11 you don't animate your first pilot episode. You animate like 4, maybe 5 frames of animation. Maybe it's like cool loop, you know.
I still do that.
You start animating by doing that. You don't start animating by like doing a whole 11-minute pilot and then being like, oh, I should redo this because the first like 9 minutes are horrible because I didn't know anything about animation. It's like, I'm sure that works for...
If you can't make a full-blown like 10-minute animation first go, like, what are you even doing? You shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, if you can't even do 24 frames, not even 24, if you can't even do 12 frames, because let's be honest, I know a lot of art people out there.
I was joking.
I know, Tom. I was just brushing you by because...
I thought you were missing the point of what I was saying.
No, what I was going to get at is, I know a lot of people out here who have started doing art or just do digital art, right, have started out similar to me, where it's like you use CSP because you hear from a friend of a friend, like, it's a pretty good art software, and maybe you picked it up when they were on sale, because that's a little artist tick, tech tip, right, is you can get CSP for pretty cheap when they go on sale, usually during the winter times when they do their like winter sales, and you can get a CSP Pro for like $20, and you just have the software now. And that animation software, as well as just drawing software, is phenomenal. And if you genuinely want to learn how to do art, I really recommend just using CSP Pro first, and then being like, oh, the workflow is kind of weird on here, but I only get 12 frames of animation because it's Pro. That's how they do that. And you're like, okay, I can animate 12 frames on CSP Pro, and you know what? You just get better and better at that until you're like, God, it's a real fucking pain. It's a real bother to like stitch all these like 12 frame animations together so I can actually tell a story. You know what I should do is I should then invest in buying the better version of CSP, which is EX, which is something I've done recently, and you'll be blown away at the like insane amount of features that were locked behind, and you'll realize like you have so much more potential because you've changed the workflow. It's become easier, and so there's a lot less headaches in your way. And we've kind of been talking about that. We've been reiterating on stuff where it's like, if you're able to make that workflow work for you, then the rest should just come easy. Like creating an idea, just drawing anything should just come natural. It shouldn't even come naturally. It should just be as simple as you turn on your PC and you draw, or you open up your sketchbook and you draw. Like there shouldn't be like a weird barrier to entry where it's like, well, first I actually have to because it's one of those notebooks that has the cool heart locket on it. I gotta take out my key and unlock it. It's like,
yeah, I have a really, really, really good example of this recently. I got a brand new tablet recently, and I love it. It's a great tablet, but it has this weird glitch issue. I'm using this as an excuse to ask for tech support. I have this issue where when my computer like goes to sleep and then wakes back up, sometimes the tracking won't be on the tablet anymore. It'll be on my second monitor. Like I'll put my pen to the tablet, and then I look over and the pen's on the other monitor. And that has become a barrier where I'm like, I don't want to do that right now because I have like 2 different games open. Neither of them are saved. I have like all this other stuff I need to do on my computer. I would have to restart my computer to draw right now. I'll just do it later. Like after I stream or something, and then like I just don't end up drawing as much. And it's something I need to fucking fix. I either need to fix it or I just need to get used to like saving all my shit before I go to bed.
Oh yeah, and I'll say this much: I think a lot of people have experienced this in the COVID years, right? Ooh, spooky is like, yeah. We're bringing up that chapter, right? This is our This is the COVID chapter of our lives. This is the COVID episode, right? Because we didn't have one.
The blah plays.
Yeah, this is where like the fucking like the woo, like the sound effect that you see and then it goes back. Okay, we inserted that now, so me talking about it is redundant. But so back during COVID, right? A crazy story. People deal with a lot of weird shit in like work-life balance, and a big thing that a lot of people realized was, hey man, doing like office work in the place that I sleep or in the place that I eat really like destroys my workflow because I'm distracted like all the time. I need a space to work. I need a consistent space to work. And I think a big problem a lot of people have just trying to draw consistently and like getting into that nice headspace is finding a place to work, because let's be honest, a lot of young artists are probably just drawing in their room, or they're drawing when they're working or something like that. They're just finding time to draw, whether it be in your car or just out and about. And it's not like it's a consistent thing, but like having a space to actually do art or be creative is extremely like, it frees up your workflow immensely. Like, for instance, I spent like a month or two fixing up this like desolate shack out in the middle of nowhere. And the reason I did this wasn't so that I could have a cool bitchin' pad to bring all the ladies. It was so that I could have a space to do woodworking, one of my other arts that I like to do, diverse portfolio here, right? And as well as do drawings and stuff like that, or like blueprinting and stuff like that. And when you have a way to separate not only the places where you sleep and eat or where you socialize to just this one room, this one little area, to just allow yourself to be like, there's no distractions in my life. I'm just going to do the thing I came here to do, which is to draw or to cut this piece of lumber in the right way, right? That is it's not even like freeing. It's just when you set yourself up to succeed, which is what you're doing by creating a space to do art. It literally, being creative is like, it's a side thought. You don't even have to think about it. You just put the pencil to the page because you already have the pencil ready and you already have the page open,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to like, we have a nice big open basement. It's like a finished basement. We have like outlets and everything everywhere. Internet. We're trying to turn it into a bit of like an office space, like a studio space for like my dad, because he wants to do like band stuff. But what I'm going to be doing is putting my own. There's so much space there. I'm going to have my own separate desk in the corner of that room with like a computer set up and everything. And I'm going to just start using that as my art desk, because like that's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, it's not healthy to have my art this is my room for playing video games, for sleeping, for eating, for drawing. It's like I do everything in this room, and that's bad for your fucking mind. It makes me sleep poorly. It makes me not do as much art.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you sit around playing video games all day. It's good to split those things up mentally and like just have a space for that. So I'm excited to have a little office, basically.
Yeah,
I think that'll help me draw a lot more, because I'll just walk over and sit down and start drawing.
And I'll tell you, Tom, the sooner you get on that, you'll notice it like instantly, where it's like, man, the fact that I just spent like a month just cleaning this area out and being able to use it it's weird, right? Because you think to yourself, like, in this headspace where it's like, how can cleaning up a room so that I have like a little bit more space, like not even like a fraction more space, like just enough to put like a desk down, how can that like make me not only more productive, but how do I end up not wasting end up wasting more time cleaning up this area rather than just doing the thing that I should do, which is art, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people get into that headspace where it's like, how is this thing that is not even related to the craft I'm doing gonna help me in the long run? And truth be told, it really does. And the only way you can really see the evidence for that is by doing it yourself. And I'm telling you right now, if you just set like an hour a day to just be like, hey, I'm gonna organize this thing. I'm gonna get some bins. The first step,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get some bins. All right, I'm gonna go to the store, waste like an hour buying bins at the store. All right, next day, I'm gonna waste another, not even waste. I'm gonna use a precious hour of my time to then organize this stuff. Know, like, separate the fucking wheat from the chaff, right? Know what needs to be thrown out and know what needs to be saved. You're like, to me, what needs to be saved is like valuable memories. What does that mean to me? It means like, photos, albums, anything that you can use on in your day to day, like a fucking record or something, right? Those stuffs, those like weird niche things have meaning to me. What doesn't have meaning in my life is stuff like, oh wow, this cool little plastic toy that like jumps or flips or whatever. That was really cool and iconic. I'm gonna chuck that right away because it serves no purpose in my day to day, and in fact, I could give that to Goodwill or just literally anyone, and they'll have an infinite better use for it. Like, just give it to a
Yeah.
kid, and they'll rave about it for a year. Like, that's what kids love. They love all that weird like small niche stuff, right? It's just when you find the time to really like not even organize your life mentally, but like in the real world, it pays off in dividends that you have no idea. Like, especially when you do small stuff, like, say for instance, you're a guy who spends a lot time at your desk, whether it's because you work a lot or you just spend time there. And it's a pain, right? If you just make that place organized, where it's like you set limits for yourself, where it's like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to have more than like 3 cans on my desk, right? The moment the third can shows up, I'm cleaning my desk, I'm getting rid of all those cans. It's the same thing you do in your house chores, right? The moment the trash gets filled up, I'm throwing the trash away. I'm not waiting for the fucking trash to turn into the Great Pyramids, right? I want to throw it away before it becomes an even bigger problem. And that's what you're doing by organizing and making space for yourself. Is you're preventing like this pile up of like responsibilities if you just chip away at them every day, where it's like you just take off like a little piece from the pile every day, and eventually you take more pieces off than actually get added, to the point where you don't have any pieces left to even take off the pile. And then every time a piece does get added, you can just look at it and fucking flick it away, because it's like one small minute detail
Mm-hmm.
that you can take care of instantly and not have to worry about it piling up. And that's how workflow works, and that's how being able to do commissions on time works. Is you don't accept another commission when you haven't even completed the first one or the 10th one, right? You should complete that first commission. And if you know for a fact you're just about to get done with it, and by some miracle you get a second one, yeah, accept the second one, knowing full well that that first one you took is going to be done before you even get out of the like idea stages of that second one, right? I'm not telling you to leave money off the table. What I'm telling you is to fucking take the money you've already been given and give like a good product
So,
out of it.
something else that's interesting that I've heard from other artists that do commissions is it can actually be good for you mentally to have like 2 or 3 different commissions all running at the same time, because you might burn yourself out on one if you're just only working on that one. So if you have like 2 or 3 different ones to kind of cycle between and work on them, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend an hour on this one, and now I'm kind of creatively burnt out on that one, so I'll just mix it up by going to this other one. That can be good for you. You should ease into that though. You should do commissions normally for a few months. Not even for once you get used to it. However long that takes you personally, just
Mm-hmm.
get used to doing commissions normally, and then experiment like that.
Yeah,
That's what commission slots are for. That's why people have like 3 out of 5 or whatever.
yeah. Being able to understand your workflow as well as how much work you can handle is like key in being your own, boss. That's a big problem a lot of people have in the internet industry, or just like in any industry in general. Like, you talk to anyone who's like self-employed, and they'll say the same thing verbatim, where it's like they can't and this goes back to what we've been saying about, like, separating spaces and separating your time, is they can't turn off the work switch, right? Because the moment they're not working is the moment the business isn't working. And the moment the business isn't working, then nothing's getting done. And that can have a real strain on anyone trying to be like self-made. And so what you need to do as an artist, if you genuinely want this to be like a career thing, or even just a way to make some cash on the side without it draining you mentally and being like, I'm done with art completely, this is ridiculous, the people I have to deal with, it's ridiculous, is you need to understand how to separate the art and the work and understand how that workflow works for you. For instance, you could be an artist that's like really good at multitasking, right? I don't like to use that word often because the multitasking is just being able to like switch between projects fast. It's not being able to do two projects at once, right? That's what that really means. And when you understand that, you can get into this flow state where it's like, okay, what if I take 3 commissions at once? Now, not only am I extremely efficient at doing line art for all of these because I'm doing the line art for each one, the moment I move into coloring, the moment I move into shading with all 3 of these projects, I'll have them all done and I'll be in the same workflow that I've been doing because I'm working on them at the same-ish time. So the moment you get done doing line art for one, you do line art for the other one, and then the other one. And then the moment you make that nice transition to where now I got to work on color, it's brilliant because you don't have to worry about, oh, now I have to do line art for this other thing. I have to start from ground 1 and work all the way till fucking level 10 working on this art commission. It's like, no, you can start from level 1 with all of them and slowly move up. And if that works for you, it works for you. It's all about understanding what that workflow means to you and how to prevent burnout, as well as being able to deliver a product on time, right?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about that being a question for me because it's it seems
it is rhetorical.
rhetorical.
I just need to take a breath.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to talk normally when I'm not excited.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing we don't talk about much, Tom. Is I don't think you've seen it yet, but for those listeners at home, I learned how to speak when I was in Texas, and I don't know about any of y'all, right?
That was like
Texas
2 or 3 years ago, right?
That wasn't even. That was when I was growing. Yeah. No, that wasn't 2-3 years ago. That was when I was growing up. Yeah, I'm not a minor. All right.
No, I mean, no, minor.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah.
My co-host Adam Egret here.
Yeah. Anyways, what I was getting into is something about me personally, so that I can relate to the audience, because we're psychotic here. And that's all we think about is how to boost our numbers, is stuff like that. Anyways, so I was growing up learning how to speak English in Texas, rural America, right? And I had a very thick Texas accent. And I noticed when I moved around a lot that you kind of sound foreign when you have like a Texas accent. And so I did the best I could to hide it, like, very well. And I think I do a pretty good job. But whenever you get me on a topic that I'm extraordinarily passionate about,
you just
my
start
mind,
going like you pull out the 2 revolvers.
Yeah, I start blasting. No, what happens is I start talking so fast, I start to sound like fucking Boom Howard, and I get into my fucking Texas accent, and it's horrible. I've had it happen like once or twice in like real life, and it takes me like a good solid 5 minutes to realize what I'm doing, and I have to like fucking like turn my brain off and be like, okay, hold on, sorry, that's not how I normally speak. Okay, guys, come on, I don't talk like that. All right.
Something came over me.
Yeah, the fucking cowboy took over, and I had to really get in on it. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, Tom, because we don't talk about this a lot, but you also have a pretty interesting accent. I don't know if you want to divulge where you live, but
New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. It's a giant state. What are they gonna fucking settle in?
What are they gonna do? Drone strike you?
What are they gonna do? Like look at fucking airplane patterns in the sky over my house and fucking
figure out where that flag's going and hear the croaking of the frogs? Yeah. For those unaware,
when I'm done talking about that, I want to just talk about that very briefly because I love that story. But I want to talk about the final chapter that no one talks about. But anyway, I guess I don't have the same story as you, where you're like I try to hide it. apparently I have like a subtle New Jersey accent that can come out sometimes, and I didn't even know that. I had no idea. Like, I don't hear it. There's like because some people like they can hear their own accents, like what you're talking about. I almost never do unless there's like a certain word where I say it and like, oh, that sounded like I was on the fucking Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Like outside of that, I just don't notice. It's not like a thing that enters my mind. To me, I think I sound pretty accentless. But
Yeah,
then I talk to people and they're like, haha, you have like a fucking Jersey accent.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because, like, with things like nomenclature, right, of like random shit people say, like, do you say fucking like fountain or bubbler? Like, okay, dude, yeah, we get it. You know different words, but like that was literally like the thing I had to deal with all the time when I moved around. Because for those who don't know, I was a military kid, and when you're a military kid, you move around like every 3 years. Now that people know why, it's so that the chain of command doesn't get like tainted by like insider shit, where it's like you have the same people working in the same
that's
areas.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
I never knew
genius.
that.
It's ingenious, but it has its flaws every once in a while. Like for instance, there's like specifically with like the Coast Guard, because that's all I know because my parents were the Coast Guards, but like in Mississippi, I believe, somewhere around there, there's like 3 main bases in the Coast Guard in Mississippi. And what you can do to get around that system is just transfer through each 3 of the bases like constantly. So it's like a round robin because you can't transfer back to the original station you were because that would defeat the purpose. But after you transfer your 3rd time, then it's like it's fair game. You can go back to the 3rd place you went to. And it's like then, the whole system of being like, the chain of command getting destroyed because people have favoritism or they're just like in their buddy group, it kind of goes out the window when something like that, like it's something pretty big like that flaw kind of rears its head. But most people don't take advantage of that. Anyways, a little side tangent.
I feel like that would be hard to take advantage of because it means everyone up and down the chain all needs to be taking advantage of it in the same exact place.
Yeah,
all
and
at the same time.
It does happen. Let's be honest. No system is perfect, but there's ways to. It's just what it is. But so, besides that, what I was really talking about was like since I moved around a lot, I learned a lot of weird nomenclature that not a lot of people like talked about a lot because the internet was still like a kind of new happening place where people didn't talk that much. It was only nerds, right? So they had their own fucking nerd elite speak, right? But
yeah,
you see this a lot now where it's like people talk about, oh yeah, there's this weird like they say fucking tiddlywinks where not in my US of A. It's like okay, but so I had to deal with that where it's like you're like a fish out of water like constantly, and it's like oh you call that soda, you call that cola, no, it's called pop here, dude, get with it or get out. And it's like okay guys, I'll see you later.
Kill you.
Yeah, not that, Tom, because then I'd be put on a list like you were. Do you want to talk about that? Your school life? Did we talk about that? Oh yeah, we did. We talked about that last podcast, didn't we?
Did we talk about that in the podcast? I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Short, but basically, I had shitty teachers that would fucking fuck with me because I drew in class, and occasionally I would draw something that they didn't like.
Yeah, they thought you were a school shooter.
Here's a story. Yes, here's a story I didn't tell. When I was really young, like elementary school young, we were drawing we got coloring pages, and the coloring page was New York City, and it was centered on the Statue of Liberty. I, as a little kid, was like, I like fucking Ben 10 and Dragon Ball. I like action shit. I like Superman. So I draw a big meteorite coming in on the side of the page, and then I get fucking called to the principal's office for that, as if it's a big deal. It's like, what does this mean? It's like, what? I'm like fucking 8. Like, what do you think I'm gonna fucking summon a meteorite on fucking New York? My parents are like secret Al Qaeda members or something.
You weren't talking about the plane that you did draw crashing into the Statue of Liberty. I think that was also a bigger point of contention.
That was. I don't know if that was related.
I don't think it was.
I drew the Twin Towers back in just so I could have the plane going into them.
Yeah, because you said you were a big fan of Spider-Man, and so you're like, he could have stopped it. That was your big thing, right? Because of Spider Sense. That was what you were saying to your principal at the time.
You know what's really funny is, to this day, when I was that age, I told my parents, my excuse was I was going to draw a superhero, like stopping it. Which I'm sure that's I'm sure that was part of it. I'm sure that was in my mind because that was the kind of shit that I liked when I was that age. But when I think back on it, I was like, I never really thought that actively. I just was kind of drawing off the top of my head. But I haven't had the heart for all these years to tell my parents, like, no, yeah, that was a complete lie. It was just a meteorite for fun.
It's so strange. Yeah, like, it's weird. People don't realize it, but kids are extraordinarily good at lying, like, all the time. Because,
yeah,
dude,
because they still tell that story sometimes, and that's always the ending. He was gonna draw a superhero stopping him, but he didn't get a chance. And it's like, no, it's not really what happened. But still, like, I shouldn't have been punished for that anyway, so I'd feel justified.
Yeah, it's so, like, similar idea. So, like, when I was a kid, I was so shit at lying that anyone could call me out. So I just, over time, I grew up just being like, it's pointless to lie. Everyone can see through you because they're like cyber sleuths. Like, they know, they're like they're detectives. They understand this shit. They understand what lying is. I can't lie. It's impossible. So I just was like, I'll just do everything I can to be like an upstanding citizen or whatever. Because, like, okay, so, and not to sound like a fucking dickhead, but like literally my first lie was like, just to get like an extra fucking Twinkie for lunch, I told my mom, like, oh yeah, I had this bully that beat me up and took my Twinkie, and like
That's because
you
got too complicated with it. See, that was your first mistake.
I did. See, yeah, exactly. But then I was like, yeah, his name was like Chucky, and he had red hair, and I think you'd understand where this reference is coming from,
No
Tom.
way.
I was like,
that's not. You did not. That's
I know that's real. That is 100% real. I just used like off the top of my head. I was like, oh, Rugrats is good. I'll just and parents don't watch cartoons.
I thought you were gonna. First of all, why you choose Chucky as your bully? He's like the fucking weakest fucking character.
Because I thought, hey, I'd fucking flip the script. They want to fucking see this coming, right? They don't.
But also, I thought you were saying Chucky as in like the evil doll.
The evil doll.
Play.
Yeah, no, not even. No.
Yeah, it's the same description. It's like that character is literally Chucky. It's weird.
Yeah, and so like, so for any of our listeners, that's as good as a lie I've probably ever told in my life, and I haven't topped it since. Like, I don't know how people do it. Honestly, Tom, it's like this weird improv skill. So like, I can bullshit people, right? I can just like say, because like that's the thing, right? There's a huge difference between like improving and like lying like perfectionally, like being able to like just tell like a little white lie and people just believe you, to where it's like I've only been able to like gaslight people because they just for whatever reason decided to believe the thing that I said that was like clearly like a joke, right? Because I don't make it known that I'm saying a joke, because my voice, for all the listeners who haven't noticed, is pretty monotone. It's pretty, regular, but it's like I say like some like offhanded thing about like a movie or a show where it's like the classic one that we always bring up that's actually true is like the fucking turtle scene from Master of Disguise, where it's like, yeah, man, the turtle scene from Master of Disguise was filmed during 9/11. He was in the turtle suit and he had to pray for all those victims, and it's like, that's a real thing. That's not even a lie. That's just real. But my bullshits always sound like that, where it's like, oh yeah, man, when they were filming, Freddy Got Fingered, when they were doing the jewel scene, he actually had like
the towers were what falling.
yeah, and he dropped the jewels and he scratched them. Yeah,
I love that applying that same thing, but just to every movie.
It works. It works on so many levels.
It's so funny.
The best one to do for that one is there's literally this rom-com movie that's called get this like Never Forget, and it's about I'm sure after hearing our conversation you can understand where that title comes from, but the intro to that is literally a school teacher and like this business guy kind of like fall in and out of love, and like they they have like their whole like lover thing going on, right? It's like a classic rom-com, right? You got mail, that's your classic rom-com, right? And so it ends with, you'll never fucking guess, the school teacher being at school and being like, I miss him so much. And then it's the business guy in a cool tower that has like a similar tower behind it, kind of the same height, and it zooms out, and it's the twin fucking towers, and literally it's like it's the scene that everyone talks about in fucking the 9/11 event, right? When they dropped that
Yeah.
update, when they dropped the 9/11 update, where it's like you're in school and it happens, or you're in the tower and it happens. It's like, god damn, you guys couldn't wait like, I don't know, like 50 years, like how the fucking, like, you couldn't even wait as long as they waited for the Titanic movie. Like, come on guys, like what's going on here? Someone gonna throw a jewel in the reflecting pond, a piece of jewelry, like, come on, like, yeah, like ridiculous
Well,
shit like that.
There should be a sequel where that guy like runs up to the window and he goes, "Stop the plane!"
They really should. You know what, Tom? Yeah, it's been a minute, but I think you deserve it. I'm gonna give you your own directing career. Yep. I'm kind of big in the industry. I know how to give you a Netflix original series, so you get one.
What's your name? I think I missed it.
What do you need? What are you talking about? You just have one. It's like a golden ticket from Willy Wonka. I gave you one.
There's a little. I see the stand on your desk. It says Weinstein.
No, see,
heard that name before.
No, see, I can see the point of confusion you have there. See, this is someone else's office. I just came in here to use it so that I could give you the good news.
You inherited it.
No, it's just
powers after he was fucking banished.
No, Tom, don't be silly. The conference room was full and fully booked, and I was like, well, no one's using this office. There's cobwebs and like weird flight logs or whatever. I couldn't read them because like I don't know how to fly a plane.
Skulls and fucking an evil cauldron.
Well, there wasn't skulls. There was crystal skulls and crystal skull vodka. I just assumed he like the guy who made Ghostbusters, whoever his name is. I couldn't tell you. I'm not really big in the industry. I actually, I don't even know why I'm here. This desk isn't even mine, as you know, because that's not my name.
You opened up the closet and there was a fucking pale man sitting there who went, "I am the ghost of Hollywood's past."
And he had a big nose. And he was Jewish because, as we all know, it's not because this is a little history fact for you fellows. The reason people say like the Jews controlled the media wasn't because like they're evil or anything. It was because they just invested in movies at the time. Like a fair amount of like Jewish studios invested in movies at the time. That's where that racist thing comes from.
We're saying it because they thought they were evil, though.
Yeah, well, that is true, Tom. But I just like to give context to history so people understand where cool racist stuff comes from. I think understanding the history of where the N-word comes from is really neat. I think a lot of people agree with me on that.
I mean, isn't it literally just because a lot of languages is just the word for black?
Yeah, I mean, you could simplify it like that. You could do some like you can tell a story with it. You don't have to be so blunt, but like me, I'm kind of
that
cool.
That would be a really great video essay. It's 30 seconds long.
Yeah? Are you gonna make that?
It's like a 5-second video. It's called like Origin of the N-word, and you're like, well, there's a lot of languages where that's the word for black, and then you just end it.
It just ends, you don't even say it. That's what everyone was paying you for the Patreon for, was so that you would say it, but I guess you didn't. So I guess we're the bad guys for paying a white guy to whatever. I'm not even gonna go into it. Yeah. So in summation, right? If you have a Patreon and you promise people you're gonna say something really bad or you're gonna draw something really crass, you'll get a bunch of money and people will love you, and there's really no effort that needs to be made when making art, right? That's what we came to at an end there, right? That's the lesson. That's the storytelling. Yeah.
Basically, make a bunch of physical art, get canceled so that you can't make it anymore, and then sell the remaining art for lots of money.
Yeah, or like murder a president or something, and then like make a bunch of art like 60 years down the line. Attempt at murder. Yeah, because let's be honest, guys. If you do murder a president,
you're not gonna get out of prison in the first place.
You're not exactly gonna get out unless you know a little guy called a Weinstein.
You're gonna get shot in the stomach by a fucking mobster.
Yeah, it's not good. It's really not good.
Do you know about that?
No, explain to the audience. Yeah, tell us.
The guy who killed JFK before he was going to trial, he was saying, I'm a patsy, which, to be honest, I don't buy the conspiracy theories. I think he did it. But some random mobster ran up to him and fucking shot him in the stomach for some reason while he's being dragged to trial. And that just adds so much to the fucking theories where it's like, well, why did he do that? Like, why did that happen?
Yeah, honestly, I could. It doesn't even have to be a mobster. Honestly, I could just see like a fucking like pissed off like Second Amendment nut being like, I'm just gonna kill this bastard, and everyone's gonna think I'm a hero. Like the guy doesn't even have to like have mob connections. I could see like 1 out of like 10 people in that crowd being like, I have my pistol on me. I'm just gonna fucking shoot this asshole. We all know he did it.
Well, that's why it's weird. It's the fact that it was a random mobster and not just some random crazy person.
Yeah.
So why did he care enough to do that?
Well, because it is true to some extent that he did have connections with the mob, but
the thing is, no. He had connections to like Cuba and Russia, but the connections were actually. It's actually really funny when you look into it. He contacted Russia and he was like, "Guys, I want to bring down capitalism. I can be a KGB agent and help you guys." And they were like, they took one look at his like resume and they were like, "No, you're fucking shit. Go away. We don't want anything to do with you." In fact, this is actually really funny.
I was talking about our president having connection to the mob, but
yeah.
I
thought you were saying
everyone knows.
I thought you were saying Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah, of course. Like, there was like a really bad thing with him where I think he had like affairs with like the wives of mob bosses.
Yeah,
not a
and
good
Marilyn
idea.
Monroe. Yeah, that was a classic one.
But yeah, something that's really funny about, as funny as an assassination can be, was in the Kremlin on the day of JFK's assassination. So obviously, like, what made the KGB and like the Soviet surveillance system so good is largely the fact that it was so decentralized. It was kind of like everyone was given their own assignments and just kind of poured all the information back into a central area. But they all just kind of got to do whatever they wanted for the most part, as long as it was serving the motherland. So when that happened, when JFK got shot, everyone in the Kremlin started running around panicking, going like, "Was that us? Did we do that? Was that like some of our agents that killed fucking JFK because they thought it'd be a good idea?" And they like ran around and were like, "Okay, all right, we don't think it was us. We think we're in the clear." Especially considering that they liked JFK.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, the leader at the time left. They were like pals. Yeah. Which makes sense. That's kind of what you want out of leaders, is to be pals with your, not your enemies, but your friends who are enemies, right? That's like the whole art.
Your friends closer, your enemies closer.
Yeah. And that's what you want. That's what you want out of a leader. You don't want them to have their brains splattered about because you read a book and you were like horny for a woman, But sometimes that's just how life goes, We see that a lot with white guys, huh? They get crazy and then they shoot up a lot of people.
I think that my history teacher in high school gave the best kind of rundown of the JFK conspiracy, because he went over like a lot of the JFK conspiracies, but his conclusion, which I generally agree with, is, look, yes, there was like 50 different very powerful groups that all wanted to kill JFK for one reason or another, or at least would have been okay with it if he died. You got the Mafia, you got the KGB, you got the CIA, you got the Cubans, you got, like, fucking actors, you got, like, all these people. But in the end, all that happened was a crazy guy got a rifle, went into a library, and shot him in the head.
Yeah, and honestly, good on him, because we got a really cool president. We got Lyndon B. Johnson, baby. The only president from Missouri. Let's go. Come on. Everybody loves LBJ. Come on. Give him the respect for the man who did fuck all with his presidency.
Yeah, he just sat there and was like, fucking... His entire presidency was like, I'm the successor to Jack Kennedy. My God. Actually, to be fair, he did. Yeah. Didn't he technically get the Civil Rights Act passed under him?
Maybe.
That's good.
Yeah,
but the weird thing about that is the fact that, actually, Alternate History Hub has a great video on this. Basically, because JFK pushed so hard for the Civil Rights Act, Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a Southern Democrat who typically would be against it, was like pushing really hard for it as a legacy thing. Like, we should make this JFK's legacy, passing the Civil Rights Act. And like that pushed it through a lot faster. And the theory was if JFK had lived, he's like, he was much more left wing, so he wouldn't have had the same kind of power of like reaching across the aisle and being like, "Hey, let's get this thing done," as LBJ would have, and it might not have gotten passed, or it might have gotten neutered in the process.
Also, for
It's an interesting
context,
video.
and for context for people who don't understand, when they look at a map and they're like, Missouri, that's not exactly south, that's actually north. They would have been part of like the northern territories that hated slavery. A fun fact, the reason Missouri had slavery, even though it was below the what is it called, the 40-20 line? Is that what it is? Or am I getting it wrong? Yeah, it was because of the Missouri Compromise, which, for those who don't know, this is generally how the tale goes. A lot of people from like Texas and other places below the belt went in with guns and forced people to vote to have slavery, on top of the guy who was living in Missouri at the time that was very rich and successful because he wanted to build a bunch of railroads, because he wanted to be the first guy to have railroads to the west. I forget his name offhand, but he wanted the bill passed so that he could have very cheap labor, so that he could just have slaves build the railroad to the west, which is what happened. And Missouri has a very nice railroad system built off of the backs of slaves. And when that bill got passed, literally, like, there were effigies burnt of that man across, like, it literally, the records show of people remarking, like, literally the streets were lit up with burnt effigies of this billionaire who was, like, building railroads. Like, that's how pissed off people were. Because also, the fact that you allow slavery in Missouri means that a lot of workers don't get to work for money. Yep. And it's like that fucks up the economy too. So those wondering, like, oh, Missouri's not a southern state. Well, it kind of got forced into being one. So yeah, fun history fact. The more you know.
But LBJ, that reminds me of the one thing I wanted to say about that fucking the "He Will Not Divide Us" saga, where they kept tracking the flag down, was my favorite part of that whole thing was the very, very last one. No, people don't talk about this. They talk about the one where they tracked it down based on like the flight patterns of the planes. Mm-hmm. What happened after that is that they decided to say, "Fuck it. What we're gonna do is put the flag up in someone's house and just stream it hanging from a wall. Crop it in so you're only seeing the flag and the wall and nothing else. There's no way they could find it." And then these fucking 4chan psychopaths were able to, like, look at the timing of, like, the light patterns on the flag and go, okay, well, we've determined that it's this time zone. Then they go, okay, let's look up, like, who has Shia LaBeouf been hanging out with lately? Oh, British guy. Okay, so it lines up with this British guy. Let's just check it. Let's fly a drone up to this guy's window. Oh, there's the flag.
Yeah. It's like not that hard to find who owns property. Yeah. If anything, it made it easier.
What I'm trying to say is, what's so crazy about it is the fact that, like, the whole stream was literally just a flag on a wall and no other context. And they fucking tracked it down. It's just insane.
Yeah, honestly, it is pretty balls to the wall crazy, the lengths people go to on the internet to, like, dox, not even dox people, just, like, find things, because they're just, like, they have nothing better to do with their time, not even to make art. They just want to, like, post on a cool subreddit and get cool Dogecoins, right? That's all people want to do on the internet, right? I know what kids like. I'm a youth, right? That's what they want. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is mind-boggling the lengths people will spend their time on and not invested in, like, a cool skill. I guess tracking people and, like, tracking a flag is a skill in itself, and using, like, trig and stuff to understand that is a skill. And I wouldn't doubt it if, like, the people that actually found the flags were, like, real people who, like, had real jobs. Like, when I mean real people, I mean, like, people providing to society, and then everyone else who's just, like, watching, like, awestruck, are just, like, the people who just wait for anything to happen on that board to just talk.
There's, like, I think a similar thing happened with, I don't know if you've ever seen this video, it's a Tom Scott video, where it's called, what was it called? You hunted us down, please never do it again. It's something like that. It's like, basically Tom Scott posted. He was on a vacation with his like friend. And he posted a video, a picture, and he was like, "Try to find where we are, and like whoever's closest gets this prize." And people like figured it out down to I think within a couple of meters, like the exact coordinates of where he was standing in the picture. They were like, okay, it's like GeoGuessr stuff. It's like, okay, well, I can just immediately I can look at the grass and be like, that's this state instantly, easy.
Yeah.
Now I can look at the clouds in the sky and look at weather patterns and be like, okay, that would mean it narrows it down to this spot. Plus, a mistake he made was the fact that he went there to watch the total solar eclipse. So then they went, okay, we can narrow it down based on the fact that the total solar eclipse was happening there. So now it's just on this line. And they just like got deeper and deeper until he was like, yeah, there was a dot that was basically like almost exactly where we were standing, like within like 1 meter.
Yeah. It's not even fascinating. It's relatively easy to, because like you think like, oh, the world is so massive, it's so big, how can you tell where anyone is? It's like, unless you go to like a remote area where there's like literally no signal, it's pretty easy to like understand where like people can congregate and know where things are. It's a lot easier to track people down than it may seem, which is why a lot of people go to Alaska to evade literally everyone, because it's pretty fucking hard to figure out where someone is in Alaska because it's all cold and forest, and it's kind of hard to pick up on that when the vast majority of that state is cold and forest, as well as just like as well as Canada connected to it is just cold and forest, like it's all pines and shit. It's hard to pick up patterns like that. But when you go to like a cool like destination where it's like, I posted this picture of where we're at, can you figure it out? It's like, dude, you're literally like at the Hobbit area. You're in fucking Australia, dude.
Well, that was the crazy thing about that video, is that he was in nowhere remarkable. He was next to like a random cornfield.
To some extent, that's even relatively easy because there's not a lot of like big farming communities, and
yes,
the vast
there are.
I mean,
dude,
yes, there.
No, go on Google Images right now. No, not Google Images. Google Earth. Pick a random spot between the coasts of America and zoom in, and you'll see cornfields.
What I'm saying, like on a grander scale, right, is like total world population, right? It's like because of our infrastructure now being able to like move grain and shit like to fucking each coast, coast to coast. It's pretty easy to move food now, to where like not everyone needs to be a farmer, and the places that do farming tend to have like really good soil or just like already built like agricultural stuff. It's just I don't know where I'm going with this, but what I am saying is not everyone needs to farm anymore. That's the world we live in, Tom. Don't gaslight me. All right, it hurts when you prove me wrong.
By the way, check the stream. Is this too far for
No, Tom. This is literally Tom. No, it's fine because literally this podcast is just people talking about horny art. I'm not gonna. For those
it's
listening, because
look at the stream.
I know it's not porn, Tom. But what I'm saying is, you could draw porn, and I could care less because either I could censor it or. Like I said, the reason we're doing this podcast isn't for like fame and fortune. Like this isn't the One Piece. We want to just talk to artists. Like we're doing this for fun. Like there's no capital gain incentive at all. So yeah, and that's how all art should be made. Talking to you, guy who put a shark in resin. Come on, guy, make some fun art.
The queen has fucking been on 4chan too much.
Yeah, R.I.P. She's gonna get doxxed, dude. You know what happens when someone gets doxxed? Nothing. Nothing happens when you get doxxed. The worst thing that you can have happen is getting swatted, and like.
And you can die. So that's actually not great.
Well, yeah, you can die from getting swatted, sure, but you know what else happens when you get swatted is the person who made the SWAT call gets horribly put into jail for a fairly long time that fits with their crime punishment, which is literally saying that something's happening, like a bombing, and then it not being there, and then like doing it on purpose. That tends to be that the law sees that as pretty bad.
The thing is, they don't generally get arrested because it's anonymous tips.
True, that's also a thing. But
getting doxxed is bad.
It's
And
not.
doxing people is shitty.
It is shitty, but like let's talk real. Like compared to most things that we've had to deal with, it's pretty. It's whatever. Get a
If you
VPN.
were, I mean, it's different if when your address is already out there. What do you mean get a VPN? That'll make the address disappear off the internet.
Yeah, man. It's like a little eraser mark. It's like your eraser tool. It just erases your home address, and nobody can dox you or attack you or anything.
Mm-hmm. There are services that actually do that.
I don't know.
They'll fucking try to find all your information online and like send takedown notices.
I think it's worth mentioning at the tail end of this podcast where it's like anonymity on the internet has like this weird double-edged sword where it's like the more you try to be anonymous, and you become popular, right? The more people want to know who you are because you become aloof, and now they're like, I have to know. I have to be the first one to know who this guy is. I have to know if they like me, and if I could like say hi to them at like Starbucks, at the local Starbucks they go to at 7 p.m. on the dot, and it's like you get those people just not even because you're anonymous. It's because like the math checks out where it's like if you have like 1,000 people, it's like guaranteed that one of those 1,000 people that follow you are a little crazy. Maybe they like keeping a cum box. Maybe they're that crazy, or maybe they're the stalker kind of crazy. Yeah. So I guess keep that in mind if you are trying to become a big wig on the internet. There's really no gain like at all. It's just more annoying shit. Like it's weird to
I don't
say.
know. There's some people there's a lot of people, especially lately, that are just completely anonymous, and it's fine. It's weird. It's gotten a lot easier to just be anonymous. I feel like the thing that's happened is that people just don't care anymore. People are just like, yeah, it's normal to be anonymous.
Maybe.
It's like, whoa, they're not revealing their identity. It's like, oh, yeah, that's just standard.
It's definitely fascinating because we've seen this uptick with VTubers, right? Because that allowed people to not only be anonymous, but like be kind of like showy, like have like be able to like put on a show while also being anonymous, right? Because before you'd have to be like a weirdo that like had a mask, or like you had to have like a
Yeah, there was that guy
pills.
for a while. I think that he has now revealed his face and like just does stuff normally. I don't follow the scene. But there was that guy who, for the longest time, he wore like a Crusader mask to everything.
Oh yeah, fucking Swagger Souls. Is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's who it is.
Yeah, he'd wear chainmail, but like
he would wear like a Crusader mask and chainmail to everything.
Yeah, I mean, you'll end up if you do end up to that like that level of stardom, I guess, that internet stardom, where it's like you become like a C-list, maybe a B-list internet celeb. I think it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like if you don't go out of your way to like say you don't care if someone finds out who you are, or if you just show who you are, then it's like everyone stops giving a shit, or eventually it will be found out, and then people will look at it and be like, wow, this is who that person is, and then they'll stop giving a shit. Like it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy where nothing's really gained or lost by doing it. I think you gain maybe like it's the same thing with like I don't know if you've noticed this, Tom, with like art where you have like a safe for work artist and then they finally do like one like risque porn-esque art, and then they get like a shit ton of like views and clicks because it's like, wow, this person's done like something a little risque for the first time ever on the platform, and it's like, whoa, this is like a first time thing. People love that when it's like a first thing, where it's like this weird event where it's like, wow, it's like the equivalent of like being the first guy to like climb Mount Everest, where it's like, wow, that guy's the first one, and then no one cares about like the 10 other guys that climbed it, or like the Sherpas that go up it every single damn day for all these like other rich people to like climb it. And it's like, I'm more impressed with the Sherpa who like knows the inside and outs of climbing Mount Everest to the point where it's his like daily job. But yeah, and then if you're like a porn artist and you make a bunch of porn, and we see this a lot too, and you make something safe for work, and no one cares, right? Because it's like, oh, here's more art, you didn't draw a dick this time. Whoop-de-doo, I can't come to this one. Oh well. But I will say
that's why I think it's good to have a separate safe for work account, just because that sounds like it's kind of like kind of degrading the intelligence or like taste of the audience, but it's more like, if you're going to this artist account, there's a pretty good chance you're just there to fucking beat your dick.
Yeah,
right?
it's advertisement, right?
There's
So
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, you go. It's like going into a bar and then being like, "Wait, you don't sell alcohol right now?" And it's like, "Yeah, we stopped selling alcohol like 9 to 1 o'clock because we like to just sell nachos." And it's like, I didn't come here for fucking nachos. I want alcohol. It'd be nice if I could have alcohol and nachos. That'd be pretty fucking baller. And I think this analogy is working its way into what I was gonna say, which is I think there's plenty of room to have safe for work and not safe for work at the same time, because you can have this interesting kind of flow state where you have like build up to like the event of not safe for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you have that with like just porn in general, where it's like you
I mean,
build
that's
up
like foreplay stuff. I would
Yeah.
still classify that as not safe for work.
Well, yeah, obviously, because it's gonna end up in porn. Like it's gonna be porn no matter what. But
Well, also just the fact that it's like sexually suggestive things leading up to sex.
yeah,
I would still say that's like intrinsically sexual art.
yeah, I could see that, but like for like another point, I guess, just to have like a different viewpoint, like if you want, for instance, to be able to tell a story with your characters, like instead of just like always being like the A plot, it always leads to them having sex or them boning. I've seen plenty of instances of like artists who make like not safe for work constantly, where it's like they build up their characters in a decent amount of panels where you're like, I like their chemistry, they're like funny together, like this is good writing, and then on top of it you get rewarded with the cool monkey brain seeing a dick go into a pussy or something like that, and you're like,
oh, well, yeah.
This is even better because there's context. But some people don't like context, and that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think a lot of like
context.
I don't think a lot of like people like just getting into the porn scene, as far as like people like looking at porn to just like jerk off. Like I'm like 90% sure like the vast majority of those people are just like, I'm seeing porn for the first time. Dude, this is great. And then it slowly starts to dawn on people when they get older, where it's like, I want to know why the pizza man is delivering pizza, you know? What's his plight in this world? Does he need this money that bad? And then it makes the story better. It's like it's like sprinkles on top of ice cream. You love ice cream, you might as well ask for sprinkles too. You might as well ask for a good story. You know?
Yeah. By the way,
right.
This is completely unrelated. This is a technical question. I have a clip for you to paint. How can I turn all of these pixels gray?
Gray?
I just want to change the color of the pixels that are already there.
I know you could use like a masking layer, and then you use like a color wheel. Hold on. It's been a minute since I've used CSP, because I did this whole for those who don't know context, I did this whole thing where I was working specifically in a 3DS Flipnote, because that's what some of the greatest artists I know did when they were learning how to animate. So that's what I did, and I got better at animation. So you could literally use anything. You can use, there you go. Tommy figured it out on his own.
I just use brightness. I know that's not like the right way to do that, but
yeah, but it works. Like, yeah, just add a, you could also, I always forget about this, but like CSP has so many amazing tools that allow you to do crazy shit, like just changing like making it have like its own like brightness and glow and stuff like that. That's cool. I like that.
yeah.
A lot of things people don't take advantage of, that if you like, I'll say this much, for anyone who wants to like delve into like different things in their art program, just look up like, how do I render fire in like CSP or fucking Krita or fucking Blender or whatever the hell you use, and it's like, you learn a lot of interesting like tricks and tips by doing like just doing like a simple study of like, how do I render ice, you know? Because ice is something you see a lot in just the nature. Same with fire, you know? Learn how to make it, and then you can implement it in all your art, where it's like, oh, there's a little cute campfire, or oh, there's torches everywhere. It enhances. Yeah, there's torchics everywhere, and you learned how to create, fire for the torchics to spit it out as they vomit it all up, as torchics are to do.
Mm-hmm. As everyone knows.
All right, I'm done, Tom. We've done it. We did it. We did an hour. We're done. We rambled enough.